Our guest tonight is Mr. Juergen Gentzke, and he's a regional vice president with Kuehne + Nagel, which is the world's largest global freight forwarder. For more than 27 years, Juergen has been involved with the global logistics industry employed by Kuehne + Nagel in Germany, and the U.S. being one of the largest logistics companies in the world. He grew up in the Mideast and in Germany and completed his MBA in logistics in Mannheim, Germany in 1987. He began his career in Frankfurt, Germany as the air freight consolidation clerk with Kuehne + Nagel. Within 10 years, he moved up in the ranks and became the youngest vice president in Kuehne + Nagel, in charge of the Frankfurt air freight division. 1988, he was hired as the regional vice president to the Southeast, located in Atlanta, overseeing 12 branches with more than 700 employees. In the last 14 years, he opened new office in Tampa, Florida, and Mobile, Alabama, and established the largest sales force in the Southeast. Implemented new niche services such as catering, aviation, wine logistics, which is an interesting subject all unto itself, and a break bulk services and forest products. Kuehne + Nagel Atlanta is more than 350 employees, offers all logistics services, air freight, sea freight, warehousing, brokerage, transborder, domestic transportation. And Kuehne + Nagel's location right now is at Camp Creek Parkway, brand new building. Was it 300,000 square feet?
Yeah.
300,000 square feet. And it's a very nice place to visit. So to get on track, I'm going to pass it over to Mr. Gentzke.
Schönen guten Abend. Mein Name ist Juergen Gentzke. Obviously, I'm German. So don't be afraid, you're not in a German class. I must say I'm extremely excited to be here tonight. I mean, this is not what I do every day. But I can tell you one thing. If you ever stand here where I'm standing today, you must have achieved something. You must have done something right in your career. And I'm extremely excited that also John gave me this opportunity. I have a lot of respect for John. I mean, he's truly the master of logistics. If I think I know logistics, actually I know very, very little. But I know a lot about reality logistics, which I'm going to share with you. I also brought some interns from my office. They wanted to be amongst yourself, also to listen what I have to say. And actually, I just wanted to start. I think this is such a great program. I was extremely excited that I have been chosen. That is Mr. James Wood, that he wanted his students to enroll in the school to be able to talk and listen to individuals who have distinguished himself in business. So my goal today is to give you input how I succeeded actually in the industry with the company I'm with, and give you some very practical information, some practical advice. In the agenda, it looks small, but I have a couple of slides. First, I'm going to introduce myself. I'm not going to go into the details. I'm going to tell you about the company I'm working with now 27 years, about the logistics industries and the challenges. But then most important, what are the skill sets you need to enter this industry, the skill sets to be successful in this industry, or even in the business industry, and the soft skills. And then we have 15 minutes question and answer. So the first 45 minutes, I guess I talk. So I was born in Basel, which is, they call it the roots of the freight forwarding industry. Panalpina, Danzas, one of the largest freight forwarding companies in the world, had their roots there. Even Kuehne + Nagel had it there. I was born there because my father and my mother worked for Kuehne + Nagel. So I have it in the blood. I have blue blood because our company is blue. And then my father decided to go overseas with another company. He got a job offer in Pakistan. I was 1 year old. I had little to say. So so I continued my career or my teenage time in countries like Pakistan, Iraq, and Lebanon, where I went to the German school. It was very eye-opening for me. Then I went to high school, spent 2 years in the army, and I'm married, have two kids who are more American than American can be. There's one actually in the class who knows them extremely well. Yeah, I have a BA in logistics. I wasn't that smart. It's not an MBA, I'm sorry. So I joined Kuehne+Nagel in '87. I didn't want it to be the son of, so I just started as a clerk. And here I already want to give you a major advice. If you want to start in this kind of industry, you want to start on a clerical level, because this is how you gain respect later. And this is also how this is also why I am here where I am. Then I became the president. I am the chairman of the German American Culture Foundation. I don't want to go into details, it would take way too long. I'm the member of the German American Chamber. They do a lot of activities here in the Southeast, especially also here in Atlanta. I'm a board member of the Swiss American Chamber because we are a Swiss company. And last but not least, I'm also a very proud member of the Clayton State Supply Chain Management Advisory Board. So the person on the right, I am the shorter person, if you might recognize me. That was in my very young times in the Middle East. And my name, I can trace it back to 1210. So Kuehne+Nagel. Kuehne+Nagel, we have our 125th anniversary this year. It's very exciting. It was founded in Bremen, but we became a Swiss company more than 20 years ago. Our global network is by far our strongest asset. The only thing we invest is in people and IT. That's it. We're non-asset. We don't own planes. We don't own ships. We don't own trucks, which makes it very sexy. We're like a travel agency for cargo. So you come to my office and you will have a pallet to ship. Unfortunately, this is the biggest challenge in our industry. These shipments go one way. Passengers go two ways. So we are right now, when I started, we were about 6,000 people. We are at 63,000 employees worldwide. And in 2013, we had a turnover 21 billion Swiss franc, because we are listed, or we are a Swiss company, so we have to report everything in Swiss franc. Mr. Kühne, who is in his third generation, Klaus Michael, he's about 75 years old. He has no kids. He is more than $10 billion heavy, but he's never happy. So I tell you, money does not automatically make you happy, and he always wants more. So we have to work harder and make sure that he gets more money every year. Another thing, if you want to join a company, you want to have or join a company who has a clear strategy. And we have one, and it's called Focus and Excellence. And it's very simple. And you can adapt it also to private life. And I really like that strategy. And I think this strategy, indirectly also helped me, throughout my career. Do the right things. And then if you do it, you better do it right. So what it means is you have to kind of decide what are the right things in our industry, focusing on transatlantic, focusing on wine logistics, hotel logistics, cruise logistics. There are many things in our industry you can focus on. But if you do it, just don't put it on paper. Do something, hire someone, get resources, invest. That's the only way you can get it off the ground and make it successful. My motto was always the Nike motto, just do it. So kind of this goes pretty much in line. So just to give you an idea, I'm not going to sell you Kuehne+Nagel, but this is the company I'm working for 27 years. I don't know any other company. So I don't know if the grass is greener on the other side. Sometimes I wish to know, but still, I have a lot of respect for this company, and they do a lot of right things, and we have a huge competitive edge. We are definitely known as the ocean freight carrier in the world, managing more than 3.6 TEUs, 20-foot equivalent units worldwide. We're managing. We don't own, but we manage them. Air freight, we are now number 2 globally. So we even have 2 charters every week coming from overseas to Atlanta, because there's such a high demand on air freight capacity to this market, automotive, aviation. So air freight, we are by far number 2 globally. Overland, which more applies in Europe, we're number 3. Overland in the US, we are nobody. So don't call me and ask me if I can move one of your piano from here to Boise, Idaho. I can, but I'm totally I'm dependent on other companies, so don't call me. Content logistics, we have a very, very good footprint, also actually here in the US. We have actually here in this area, we have a dedicated warehouse for DirecTV, for Home Depot, for Pirelli tires, for Delta Airlines wine. So we have a lot of warehouse activities here in this area. And also integrated logistics, where we're actually going into the companies and tell them, you know what, why don't you outsource your supply chain activities to us? Because we believe we can do this 10 times better, because that's our core business. And you, dear company, you focus on whatever you are doing best, research, development in terms of chemicals or high tech, whatever. So it's a very proven concept, especially also in Europe. And then these are the main industries we're focusing on. The lifeline here, especially in the southeast, obviously, is automotive and aviation. These two have such a dominant impact here on the whole market. I mean, if you just think about it, Boeing, now for the first time, they have a plant here in Charleston. First time. Airbus, the big rivalry, they are coming to Mobile, Alabama. They're building the Airbus 320 in Mobile, Alabama this year. It's huge. So the amount of business they will attract, the snowball effect will be enormous. It's like, you know, when BMW went to Greenville-Spartanburg 15 years ago or 17, 18 years ago, it was a small village. Today, you would never recognize this any longer. Fast-moving consumer goods, high-tech, industrials, Siemens, oil and gas, huge, one of our core competency as well. Pharmaceuticals, we even invest, you know, in special coolers for the pharmaceutical business. Very, very strong industry, but also extremely demanding, and obviously retail. Retail is the huge, huge volume out there. I mean, the Targets, the Home Depots, I don't have to tell you how many containers, air freight movement they have almost on a daily basis. And then there are so many other niche business where you have to put dedicated resources. I mean, one of them is drinks logistics. You have no idea how many water is on containers every day. I am amazed. Every time I go and take employees out or colleagues out or customer out in a nice restaurant, and they ask me, you know, what kind of water do you want? I always say I want American water. I don't get it. It has to be Fiji, it has to be Italian, it has to be British. So the amount, I mean, the marketing they spend just for water is enormous. The industry is, I mean, yeah, it's big. Emergency and relief, because we have such a global network, you know, and obviously if there's a lot of natural disasters, we are heavily involved in emergency and relief business. Expo and event, that's how I started my industry. The special thing is, I mean, you have to deliver. I mean, there's a show and you better be there. So it's very, very demanding, very brutal, but also obviously also very, very rewarding. Food service, forest product, huge here in the US. My largest customer has more than 10,000 containers every year moving forest products to different countries in the world. Hotel logistics is obviously also extremely challenging. If you go for Four Seasons, one of our customers, they have these hotels in the nicest places in the world, in little islands. But there is no harbor, no port, no airport. So you have to find ways, you know, how to get TVs, forks, everything, you know, soap into these places. Marine logistics, huge, huge business as well, and perishable. Most likely, Valentine's Day, if I look at all the men around us, you know, if you get your girlfriend some flowers, roses, most likely we are managing 50% of it. We have by far the biggest export from Colombia roses into the US, into Miami. Every day, 2 747 freighters, every day. And we have one of the biggest flower distribution center actually in Holland, where all the flowers from Nigeria, from all the different places come in and then be distributed, you know, within Europe. Okay, I will just show you a couple of pictures about sea freight. I mean, sea freight alone, in my office, we have about, I don't know, 120 people focusing on just sea freight. And sea freight could be less container, full container, could be break bulk. So there's all kind of variations. And I will talk about the challenges we currently have in this industry. Really, really tough challenges. And this is also something in this industry where you have to think outside the box. I'll talk about hard skills and soft skills in a second. But in this industry, there's no day like another day. This is also what I like. When I come into the office, you have a plan, what you want to achieve at the end of the day, and normally I only get accomplished, not even half. Because every day, in the global environment, there's so many changes. It could be weather-related, government-related, capacity-related, so many things, which makes it attractive, exciting, but also very tiring sometimes. Air freight, this is my background. In Frankfurt, I was the air freight manager. So I flew on a lot of freighters. I actually flew on a freighter the other weekend, because we went to overseas. It's very interesting. And the amount of cargo we're moving by air freight, it is mind-boggling. And you might not know it, but the Atlanta airport is the hub for almost all the air cargo carriers. Lufthansa, KLM, Air France, Cargolux, they all have their head office actually here in Atlanta. So there are more freighters flying into Atlanta than obviously passenger. I mean, passenger is pretty boring in Atlanta because you only have, Delta, 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 and then one flight Lufthansa, one flight, KLM, and that's pretty much it. But cargo, it's amazing, the amount of 747 flying into Atlanta because of the sheer demand on capacity into this market.
Juergen, is that a submarine down at the bottom?
Yeah, and this is an Antonov 124. I flew with that before. It's a Russian plane, which is the biggest. I mean, this is the biggest commercial one, but there are only 2 in the market with 6 engines. I mean, this is not a fake picture; it's a real picture. But and the nice thing about these planes, I mean, I could show you many pictures. You can actually drive with a truck. You fly over the ocean, or you fly wherever you want to fly, and then you drive out with a truck to the final destination. And it can land and lift off, almost any airport in the US, the smallest airport. It's designed that way. And we had them in Atlanta also several times, obviously for automotive or for oil and energy related business. So this is my office. We moved there 18 months ago. My office is over here. So we're almost 300 people now. We have, I mean, I don't want to bore you with all these numbers. I'm not a numbers guy. So one day, if you want to see me, I mean, don't come all together at the same time, but this is how it looks from the inside. We have a nice lobby. We have a huge warehouse, all bonded, where we actually do all the air freight, all the consolidation containers coming from overseas, the LCL containers, where we receive them and then distribute them within the region, or we build LCL into containers and then we send it out to overseas, and there it's get distributed. And then we have a history wall. This is, I don't know if you can see it, this is Mr. Kühne, who founded the company, Mr. Nagel, but he died pretty much after they founded the company. Yeah, this is how it looks like. Okay, now I thought I'm going to give you a little bit of insight in the logistics challenges I'm dealing with on a daily basis right now. So this is how it looks right now at the West Coast, which is extremely challenging. So again, an advice, if you like this industry, you want to consider this industry, you have to every day come up with solutions. You have to think so much outside the box. But okay, you need experience too. But but if you never try, you never find out. Because customers, obviously, they need their cargo. They need it in time. So now this whole shutdown or slowdown has caused such an impact in any kind of industry. And I'm really surprised, we were just talking about it, we're really surprised that it is basically not on the front page right now. Because companies are losing revenue in the billions. And there's no end in sight right now. This is how it looked before, and you have this is how it looks actually today. Totally chaotic. The thing is, they're trying to reroute ships, to the East Coast through the Panama Canal, but the Panama Canal can only, accept so many ships at the time and only a certain amount of ships. And then you need also certain equipment, on these containers. So it's a very, very complex situation in the market. Okay, now I wanted to show you something. Most people don't. This is actually a slide I show customers. I mean, you don't have to look at the numbers. I'm just going to show you one number actually, which is here, the reliability carrier ranking. Reliability. So they're saying the most reliable carrier manages their ship or their departure and arrival 85%. But the average is 70%. And now we're talking just in time. If I do not perform in the 95 and up range, we are facing serious issue with customers. It could be penalties, it could be other damages, or other consequential damages we as a company face. So all these carriers, as you can imagine, very, very poor reliability. And then obviously you have all these big retailers, they so heavily depend on the cargo. So this makes our job actually also very, very challenging. So we have to decide which carrier we want to sign up with, who are more reliable than others. So this is just an overall snapshot of all the different trades. And now if you go even by trade, the Trans-Pacific eastbound coming into the US, into Long Beach and LA, which is the lifeline for America. These two ports, I mean, they basically are good for 40–50% of all the incoming ocean freight. The reliability right now is even below 50%. And we're not talking a day delay. We're talking many days, weeks delay. So you have no idea what it does to companies. So they have to do air freight. Air freight is 10 times the price. And air freight, obviously, there's only so much capacity. And there's only so many goods, which you could put on an aircraft. Okay, which makes it also pretty challenging because there are only 4 alliances in the market. And I don't want to bore you too much, but also to tell you there are not too many options we have as a freight forwarder or even the industry. So this makes it also very challenging. It's the same thing also in the airline industry. I mean, Delta also teamed up with Air France and KLM. So they're going to the market and say, I have 5 flights a day, but it could be 3 Delta flights and 2 KLM flights. You wouldn't even know on which flight you're going to be on. So it's no different in the ocean freight business. Okay, now we're talking skill sets. What is it you need to know to enter this industry? One thing, I must say I was never one of the smartest in my class. I was always sitting way in the behind like you guys, never up front. And I think I managed my college time pretty well. I got my BA, I did okay. It got me into the industry, obviously, but again, I started as a clerk, entry-level clerk. But then, once you're in there, forget your hard skills, you need soft skills, but we're going to talk about this in a second. So, the hard skills, you have to obviously know the industry. You need to know the basics of the supply chain industry. Public speaking, you need to speak up. You have to, because you're talking with customers. I have nothing else than presenting the company. It is me. I don't have a product. So you have to be able to talk to people, talk to customers so they trust you. You have to have a logistics degree. Excellent computer basics. I suck in computer, I tell you. I'm really bad, but okay, I'm a different generation. But you need to basically understand what is in the market. What can IT do to you and to your customers? One of the big things within Kühne + Nagel, if you're not good with numbers, in terms of making money, and I don't want to go too much into details, then don't go into this industry. It's very complex because you're dealing with we're not an integrator like UPS or FedEx. They have a rate sheet, you pay or you don't, I mean, with us, we're dealing with a trucker overseas. We're dealing with local ports, with airlines, with steam. We have so many invoices on one particular file just to ship one invoice or one pallet. So you really have to understand numbers in terms of how can I make money. You have to take risks. If you cannot do this, you have a major challenge. In this industry, you better long-term have a second language. It's not a must, but it makes your life 10 times easier. And don't pick German. It's complicated. Business ethics. Very, very important. And another thing is understand the legal aspects in this industry. You have no idea how many customers come to you and say, look, my shipment is delayed. You have to pay consequential damages. Every day I'm dealing with this. And you have to understand what are your rights and what are not your rights. I mean, we handle obviously so many containers, so there's a huge exposure in the market, huge exposure. If I delay a container, it could have huge consequences, for plant shutdown situations. And we're dealing with automotive. I mean, we have Volkswagen, we have BMW as customers. So you can imagine every minute, it's $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 they're going to charge you with. So if they prove to you that you kind of screwed it up, you're on the hook. So you have to understand the legal aspect. Okay, now it becomes interesting. And I also want you to know, the next couple of slides, there are no particular order. I started writing them down, and then I realized, man, I didn't stop. More and more and more. So this is what I have learned in my 27 years in this industry with my company. So let me start. You have to communicate effectively. If you don't communicate on different levels, you have an issue. I hate meetings, but meetings you have to meet, obviously. But only, they have to be short, precise. You have to have a topic. You have to have a result. That's it. Especially big meetings, 20, 30, 40 people, I normally don't join. Conference call, waste of time, unless it's a small group, particular topic, and then move on. Join a company who has a competitive edge. Especially in our industry, there are so many companies, they have no competitive edge. It's very tough to survive, especially in the service industry. They're surviving on relationships, which I understand is extremely important. But you have to have a product you can sell in the market. And they are also very, very good niche provider in the market. I have a lot of respect for. But they have a product, they can even beat us easily because they have a knowledge about a certain trade lane or a certain niche we don't have. I think I mentioned that before. I think it's very important. If I look back, and look at my friends, many are still struggling. Many are still in a kind of a middle management. It's like the UPS driver. The top UPS management, all of them, they had to drive the UPS truck at least for half a year in order to really understand their core business. What is it about? And it's no different with us. So you really have to understand the documentation, the challenges, your people are going through. And then I realized pretty quick, there are many of you, there are many in the company. You have to specialize in something. Do something others don't know. It could be just knowing a language. I could speak French fluently. No one else could. So if there once in a lifetime was something about French, they came to me. And I also, claims. Everyone hated to deal with claims. Claims is ugly. But at the end of the day, it's the necessary evil. So I kind of, became the claim master. And it helped. You just had to take a class here and there, and then you knew more than most of the other ones knew. This for me is big. It's all about performance. I do a lot of sports. Maybe not as much these days, but too many, they want to have the gold medal before they run. Forget it. You run, and then you see if you deserve the gold medal. And if you're not quick enough, you might get the silver, or you might end up with nothing. So performance for me means everything. for any company. But you can measure, I mean, you can measure performance. It doesn't always have to be the money. It could be many other things. It could be quality related, it could be billing related, it could be, you know, so many other things. But you have to perform. And you have to have goals which can be measured. Don't say, you know, I want to have happy people. I mean, how do you want to measure that? You know, so you have to be extremely precise. Work hard, work smart means nothing to me. You have to work till the job is done. You are dealing with customers, and the customers are the one who pay your salary. It's not Kühne. Obviously, the paycheck comes from Kühne, but the money comes from our clients. So, and the clients expect that you work till the job is done. If it means you have to work long hours, so be it. And I still do it today. I don't know if you can even read it here or not. You have to team up with people, I don't know if I said it the right way, who can compensate your weakness. Meaning, you cannot be an expert in everything. I mean, I didn't care about computer. So you know what? I found someone in the company who is extremely good at that. But I also have strength. So people come to me, you know, if they need my advice or my knowledge in a certain thing. So even in my company, I mean, I'm not a die-hard salesperson. So you know what I do? Then I surround myself with top-of-the-line salespeople. Or if you're not good with numbers, find someone who can really explain numbers to you. Or find someone you can go to who can basically, you know, make you understand what numbers are about. Be a team player. Alone, you're completely useless. I manage about 700 people, and I have to motivate them. But you have to also show that you care about them. And you know, we are very, very successful, and success just comes from teamwork, especially in this industry. It's different maybe, you know, if you run. It's only you running. But also understand, you might think it's only the one person running, but there's so many people behind who made that person run. Motivate him, you know, show them the techniques how to run. For me, okay, when you become older, you have kids, you have to find a very reasonable work-life balance. I worked, believe me, 16, 18 hours, but then you also realize, my boss in Germany said, look, if you want to get motivated, put your finger in the outlet, you know. I don't have time to motivate you, and I don't care how many hours you work. But there will become a time where you have to balance your life. And you have to have, you know, 3 pillars: friends, family, and work. If one doesn't work, you can survive. If 2, you have a serious issue. And I don't want to go too much in details. Obviously, there's IQ. If you have no IQ, then you would not be sitting here. EQ, there's political intelligence and moral intelligence. So depending on the management level you are, obviously it changes. If you want to come to the level I am today, managing about 700 people, 12 offices, with $1 billion of turnover, which is a pretty sizable amount, you have to focus on the emotional intelligence. And these are the, you know, some of the topics we're discussing or we're talking about. I don't know if you know the Peter Principle. I'm a big believer in that. You only go up the career ladder till you fail. But you are the one who have to decide when is that level. Not every one of you or us or me is designed to, or is able to become a president of a company, of a country, whatever. So I tell you, in my business life, I have seen too many people who have been promoted to levels where they suck. But they were extremely well, the level below, or the level below. So don't be too excited about something. You really have to ask yourself, is this the kind of level where I really fit in, where I really add value to the company? Once you have a bad reputation, you have it forever. So you better maintain a good reputation in the industry. I tell you, it means a lot. because you're surrounded with so many people, and it's a small world. You will not believe it. You always meet twice. And I travel all over the world, and people know me. I've been with the company long enough. I've been to, I think, 60, 70 countries. Before you even show up, they know you. They know your reputation. So if you have a bad reputation, believe me, they know. In a global environment, you have to join chambers, and I'll talk about this in a second, or committees, which makes your life, I tell you, extremely exciting. But I'll have another slide about that. You can never become complacent, also in your private life. You always have projects you have to work on. I mean, I cannot live without projects. Some of these projects, I must admit, they fail. But if you never try, you never tried. You never know. So a project could mean, I want to invest in a certain industry, or I want to grow something, or, why don't we change the whole warehouse setup? I mean, there are millions of things. Obviously, you need to talk to people and have an idea, and, maybe put a business plan together. But you have to work on projects wherever you go. I think the most important in this industry is attitude. You can call me 24/7. Any customer can call me 24/7. I will never have an attitude. Never. Because this is part who I am. You have to maintain your coolness. Even though, believe me, I bite on my tongue also every day. And there are also days, I said, why did I even get up? But, but there are not many days, or not many days, but attitude is everything. It's everything in life that I, try to teach every one of my folks, of my employees. In our industry, okay, I don't know, maybe in any industry, if your company, if you even have the slightest doubt that they are not compliant, you better move. Our company is 100% compliant. Which means, this is also expected. All these big companies, zero tolerance, no funny business in the world. Even if a customer calls you and said, look, I have a shipment stuck in Brazil. Do whatever it takes. I said, whatever it takes? I do what the regulations tell me I'm allowed to do. And that's what differentiates us to many others in this industry. And this is extremely important, because many, many companies have lost their reputation because of compliance. I think I mentioned that before. Okay, there's a saying, you can work as hard. You can work, 5 years, without failure. The customer always remember the last shipment which failed. So it's the same thing. If you go to a hotel, for the last 5 years, or to a certain brand, you liked it, one day you go in there, and the service was extremely bad. Maybe that's it. So in our industry, you can have moved, hundreds of shipments, thousands of shipments. It's the last shipment which counts. And I make this, very clear to my employees. Okay, I'm born in Switzerland, I'm German, so you better be in time. If you want something from me, never be late. Especially here in Atlanta, and don't tell me it's traffic. So, I don't accept any excuses. Be professional. In this industry, many customers, they might be very laid back, but they expect from you that you be professional. And obviously it's also, being in time, meaning professional. But also, it's about clothing, the way you, present your company. And this is also how you differentiate yourself from other companies. And again, it's in no particular order. I was just writing it down late night, a couple of days or weeks ago. Praise. I have an open door policy. Okay, I travel a lot, but okay, I still have it. I talk to anyone in my company. Could be warehouse, could be all the way to top management. Because you need to understand, the different challenges in the different divisions or in the different levels. But if they do well, you better tell them that they do well. I also tell them if they don't do well, because they need to know. Wherever you're going to end up with, you better also understand who is your competitor, and also understand what are they doing right. So why are they actually in business? And I don't want to be arrogant enough just to think, because we're Kuehne+Nagel, we're big, we know everything better, we are the best, even though I believe it. But I cannot be naive to think my competition is sleeping. They never do. So again, complacency. You can never be complacent. And there are really tough competitors in the market. I really have a lot of respect for. But you also want to know what is it, where they have the competitive edge. Training, huge. Many companies, they offer training, even in our company, and you'll be surprised. Not everyone, goes to the training class. We even have to sometimes cancel them, which is kind of sad because you want to invest in employees so they get smarter, meaning the customers benefit from smarter employees. So try to always sign up for additional training. I took a lot of risks. First of all, there's no risk, no fun. But if you never take risks, you never know if certain things work. It's the same thing like the project. You have to take money in your hand. And obviously, some you do well and some you fail. In our industry, there is no research and development, so you have to be kind of creative in the service environment we're in. Okay. Delegate responsibility. You have to trust the team. I tell you, every one of my top managers, I give them the same competence I have. I trust them. They have the same authority I have in this company, and I have a lot. But I wouldn't hire them. They wouldn't be there where they are. They have the same competence in terms of raises, in terms of hiring, in terms of whatever. I think we mentioned that before. I also challenge my superiors very often. And I think it is also my right to do that. I'm not just a follower. And there are many things in our industry, in our company, which can be improved. And you have to bring it to the level. Obviously, you have to be very respectful about this. But if you never say anything, they would never know. And I also challenge my team that they have to provide me with the same kind of feedback. This is the higher you get, you have to understand internal politics. Who is dealing with whom and why. I don't want to go too much into details with this one. If you start managing people, you have to set clear goals. No goals, no targets, no vision, you have an issue. People need to understand, what does my superior want from me? How should I achieve certain things? And you have to make it very clear to them. If you don't have it, it can be extremely frustrating for many of us. Celebrate success. Many companies, they don't do this. They expect it. I don't. Because it takes a lot to be successful, especially in this industry, where you have extremely slim margins, huge exposure. But obviously we do pretty well. But it's because of the team. And then you also have to be able to celebrate. It's no different than in sports. You run, you get the gold medal, you better celebrate. Okay, I also learned a very hard lesson in terms of this one. I always thought, I have to motivate my team. They need to look up to me, which is fine. And I always told them, up there, they have no idea what they're talking about. You have to be very careful. Actually, you better align with your superiors. You better understand the top management, how they think. Because if you're not aligned with them, you have a major issue. Because they have a huge impact on your career. Huge impact. If you don't like it, fine, deal with it and move on. But you cannot fight whatever comes from the top. If a company has a certain strategy or a certain vision, you better follow it. You don't like it, you quit, you move on. I think I don't have too many. Okay, I also burned a lot of bridges. Also in private life. Never make a decision if it's emotional on the same day. Never do this. I typed emails, believe me, I wish I would have never sent. Which, okay. Never, yeah. Okay, you also have to ask yourself, what have you really accomplished per day, per week? I mean, there might be days you come home and say, look, I accomplished nothing. But okay, there are not too many of those days. But you have to feel that you bring value to your company, to your customers. Otherwise, otherwise it would not be rewarding. Succession planning. Many companies don't do it. People leave, and then you cry. You don't know. Oh my God, what am I going to do next? You have to have it. And I rather surround myself with people I believe could do the job as good as I can do. And there's nothing wrong with that. Because nothing is worse, when certain people leave in certain key positions and you have no one, it's like chess, no one we believe, could fit into that particular position. I differentiate in the business life, there are talkers and doers. You better do not want to be a talker. And what I mean with this, there's so many, they talk, but they do nothing. These are the ones, they go from company to company every other year or every 2 years, but they don't accomplish anything. You want to be a doer, or doer and talker. But if you don't accomplish or you don't do anything, you have a major issue. Be funny. Make people laugh. Life is way too serious. And you have to be able to make fun of yourself as well. Yeah, I think I said that. If you make a mistake, admit it. Believe me, I have made a lot of mistakes. But you have to be able to admit and able to apologize. And lead by example. I think that's pretty much it. Okay. Don't micromanage. Okay. I think that's more common sense. Motivate. It's all about recognition. People do a good job. Look them in the eyes. Tell them. And then their awards. And it's not just the money. Money is just one aspect of it. People want to be recognized. Surround yourself with quality people. Okay, firm handshake. I'm a big believer of that. Look people in the eyes. I'm always saying, I don't know if anyone of you know the Super Bowl result 2 or 3 years ago. You don't. But you know what? But you remember the event. You might remember who played and who won. So I don't even know my result, a year ago. I don't care. But I remember all the special events we had where we succeeded. And it could be just anniversary band outings. Extremely important. You remember events. Stay the course. People need to trust you. You cannot make a decision today different than tomorrow. You have to be pretty consistent in what you do. Major topic in today's environment, because so many things are changing. Change management, you have to support it. This is against human nature, I can tell you that. To change something in our company, in the mindset, people, because they're not maybe as young as you are, it is a challenge. Okay, I think I have to, don't complain, don't come crying. Be constructive, provide solutions. Yeah, be part of the solution and not the problem. Okay, the global business environment. So what I thought is, I looked at the top companies in the Dow Jones. Every one of these companies, they so heavily depend on the global environment. For them, they can only survive in a global infrastructure. Every one of them. Even in Fortune 500, the Georgia head office, all these companies, maybe not Affleck, but everyone else heavily depends on global business. For me, that's what we're talking about, Chamber of Commerce. There's 75 Chamber of Commerce here in Atlanta. Try to be part of it. Try to sign up. They have so many cool events. Obviously, I'm heavily involved in the German one. Look it up. They have every week they have events. Global Atlanta, same thing here. You have to team up with people from other places in the world. So what you have to do is, and what I also do every day, you have to understand what's happening in the world. Not only, domestically, but also what's going on worldwide. You have to understand Grexit. Any one of you know what Grexit is about? This is on the front page since more than 1 year in Europe. It's about the exit of Greece and the impact it would have to the European community, to the European currency. It is huge. Obviously, the Ukraine crisis. Understand what is it about? And the whole Middle East situation, Arab Spring. I actually went to Tunisia 2 years ago with my family, and also to talk to the local people, to understand what are their challenges. What is it, what is their bother with it? What's the economy about? What's their future about? So, how many of you have a passport? Pretty good. In my office, I tell you, less than 40%. And I don't know why. It doesn't cost too much, and it's good, I think, for 10 years. Again, join International Chamber of Commerce events. There are many in the market. Matador Network, that's a pretty cool one. Learn a second language. Connect, global body. I'm not saying go to match.com or so. I'm just saying, and I had many buddies overseas, in Australia and here, just texting, email, and it was always fun. Because they have a different humor, they have a different mindset. It is cool. American Shipper, which is extremely important in our industry. Do a port tour to understand, the global environment, the air, especially in the ocean freight. Travel the world. Believe me, I have seen the world. I have been to so many places. I think I am happy when I don't have to travel. But you have no excuse not to travel. Just to Germany, there are 6 flights a day from Atlanta. There are 50 flights overseas from Atlanta. And some of the flights are less expensive than flying domestically. I know it. So, okay, it's a shorter trip to Europe than Hawaii. Ethnic foods. This is where, when you go to these places, especially here in Atlanta, you learn a lot about the global community here in Atlanta. You have no idea. Ethiopians, Koreans, I can just name many, many of them. In our industry, this is my handbook, Dictionary of International Trade. This is my Bible. I'm going through this every day, and believe me, I know maybe not even 5% in this book. And the other thing, if you travel, and we talked about this, you might want to get this one, which can be extremely helpful. Kiss, bow, or shake hands. Very, very interesting anecdotes about global traveling. Visit Kühnenagel. I have about 18 different nationalities in my office. We have one here from Turkey, Moldavia. Do you know where is it Moldavia?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Do you know even where that is? No. Huh? Okay, one. Okay. You know what the capital is called in Moldavia? No. Okay, you go to him. You go to him. There's one of them. He could be a global buddy, by the way. So this is all I had. I hope you had. I hope I didn't bore you too much. So we have now 15 minutes. If you want to ask. Okay.
We got some time for a couple of questions. Does anybody have any? I know the first one's the hardest one, so we'll jump to number 2.
The oil situation where you've got freighters buying up oil and storing them just offshore, is that causing you any issues in the sea freight world?
The thing is, we are a non-vessel operating common carrier. In a shipping environment, yes. Or in the, being a ship owner, it has a major impact. But they don't know what kind of long-term impact it will have. So it's maybe too early to predict what the next month or year will bring, or what kind of ultimate impact it will have. I don't know.
As far as just space outside of ports and whatnot, with these freighters just sitting offshore.
Most of them have containers, that's the issue.
Yeah.
The freighters are going to Houston mostly.
Okay.
Yeah, but these containers, you know, the thing is, in the ocean environment, I mean, the biggest challenge is finding the right equipment. You have to have equipment in the inland, in Memphis, in Atlanta, because obviously you want to fill the containers here, bring them to the port, and then ship. And they don't get the equipment into the inland. They don't get the equipment back to overseas because of the slowdown, because of the situation on the West Coast, which makes it extremely challenging. Air freight is not as critical. Air freight, you pick it up, you bring it to the airport, that's fine. But ocean is a major challenge.
With what going on in the Middle East as far as like Ukraine crisis and the Greeks, and I mean, how much of an effect that impacted you as far as the company?
Okay, we don't want to get into a political discussion right now. I mean, Ukraine or Greece they don't have a lot of volume, so to speak. I mean, the Greek, obviously, you know, one of their main industry is the shipping industry. You know, many ships, you know, they come from Greece, but it never really had an impact. It could have an impact because with the Ukraine or with Greece, you know, with the euro already, you know, has weakened so much. So it makes the American export extremely challenging in the long term if it stays that way. And the import becomes way more attractive. So the imbalance, which is a huge challenge in my industry, we're dealing with so many imbalances on many trades. Huge demand from overseas, obviously from Europe into the US or from China or from Asia into the US, but there's hardly anything going back. I mean, there is going back, but not to the same amount. So you're always dealing with a huge imbalance, you know, of cargo. So.
I know you said you started off at an entry-level clerical job. I'm just curious, you know, if you could elaborate more on where you went after that, kind of how long it took to get from there to where you are now, and kind of the steps that were involved.
I mean, you have to start somewhere, and I wanted to really understand the industry. I mean, meaning, you know, the documentation, you know, how is the cargo flow, being in the warehouse, you know, I work shifts, you know, I work long hours. I mean, I think I know that, and then you become a group leader, you know. Obviously, you have to be smart, and you have to have, you know, emotional intelligence or street smartness, especially in this industry. You know, and if you develop that, if you show passion, if you show, you know, that you can do certain things well, I mean, and then you grow up. I mean, into the hierarchy. But there's never a guarantee for anything, and you have to be also very flexible, especially also in a company like ours. We might not have the right position here in Atlanta. We might have it in Memphis or Nashville or in Tampa. So you have to be flexible. And a lot of people, we move around. So for them to advance their career. So I came from overseas to here, you know, to continue my career, because obviously in Europe, you know, there was no way to go. So I got a phone call from the CEO. He hired me, and here I am.
So my question was, with the slowdown and everything on the West Coast right now, it's been kind of building for months and months now. So kind of my question would be, when did you start to realize it was going to become an issue? And what were the initial steps that you guys kind of took to avoid that area?
I mean, obviously, you have to perform. Perform means, you know, on-time delivery. And then, you know, when you realize that, you know, your performance is getting weaker and weaker because of the slowdown on the West Coast, it had an impact. So we try to be creative and try to utilize different strings, you know, in the ocean freight. But obviously, everyone else does it. You know, so we have a huge advantage because we're big enough and we have a lot of experts worldwide. But ultimately, you know, it has such a major impact on the whole industry, on the whole, you know, inbound logistics, that there's ultimately nothing you can do any longer. I mean, there are different ports you can go. You can do transload. You can bring the container into the port. You put it then into a truck, and then basically you bring it to the inland. But the cost is enormous. So obviously a lot of customers don't want to pay the cost. So there's a lot of, you know, challenges from a cost and from an on-time delivery, and we don't know when it's going to end. No one knows.
Being a freight forwarder and not a carrier, who is responsible for like loss or pilferage on that level? Are you guys responsible if the shipping?
This is where you need to understand the liability. I mean, I can show you pictures, you know, you have no idea how many hundreds of thousands of containers are actually on the ground of the ocean. You know, my liability is $500. That's it. So even, you know, if you move a lot of air freight, you know, very, very high value. I mean, obviously our liability is pretty limited because there's only so much, you know, we can control. But in order to avoid it, this is again where the competitive edge comes in. We build our pallets ourselves. So the air freight pallets. So, you know, we put all the pallets, you know, with our own people, you know, and then we tender cookie sheets, we call them, or ULDs to the airline. So they take them, put them in the plane, they deliver to Kühnenagel, and then they break them down again in order to avoid, you know, many of the damages. But you can never avoid 100%. And I tell you, I would say 80–90% of the damages are not because of improper handling, but improper packaging. Customers trying to save on packaging, and obviously, you know, you have to, I mean, to build pallets and everything, you know, you have to string and everything, which could have an impact to the packaging. So that's where a lot of the damages might occur.
Here, we got one more. Brandon?
Yeah. How likely is it for your ocean container to run into like pirates and stuff like that? Do y'all deal with that?
Run into?
Pirates. Oh, pirates.
Pirates.
I expected any question, but not that question. And I also saw the movie, actually. I don't know. I mean, it's such a small. I mean, obviously these huge tankers. You know, I mean, there's so much protection. Obviously, you know, the insurance companies they are lost. They lost so many millions. You know, they're protecting them. But I never heard that any of our customers were kind of affected by it. I mean, it's such a small, you know, percentage. You know, it's the same thing with an aircraft crash, where ultimately it might have an impact on your business.
We're gonna have the last question.
Oh, okay.
We talked about having a supply chain logistics degree, but there's other disciplines, other majors like marketing, accounting that are still very needed in this industry. So, you know, that's like advertising, promotion, website, accountability, and
Correct.
stuff like that. Very good industry for that. This is one of those majors.
I mean, obviously, you know, operation is our bread and butter, and obviously sales. You know, we can be the best customer out there, or the best forwarder out there, but if you don't go into the market, into the streets, you know, and try to sell it, I mean, you're never going to grow your business. So it is sales and operation. Accounting, obviously, is also one of our strengths, but if I look at my whole workforce, this might be not even 5%. So operation and sales accounts for more than 90%.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we're gonna have some door prizes drawing, so we're gonna ask Mr. Gentzke to pick, and we're gonna have Vanna White here call out the numbers, and I'm gonna hold up the products. So the first thing we're gonna give out is we're gonna give out an international calendar, which means you get to see 3 months at a time.
4 months.
4 months, which means no excuses for being late. So the first one, let her read it, Juergen.
Yeah, the winner goes to Rachel.
Okay,
Do you need glasses too?
it's 5319717. 5319717.
Come on down.
She's up there? Oh, okay.
All right, you need glasses here, use mine.
I think I'll be okay.
You all right?
I think so.
All right, next thing we got is a little notepad with, whatever, sticky notes on it.
It's sticky notes, it's good for you to organize yourself and.
There you go. Juergen, we need to pick a number.
Oh, I have to pick a number. Oh,
Oh, you gotta
okay.
keep going with it.
Oh, okay, so sorry.
Pressure.
Okay, it is 5319711. Okay, 9711.
9711. Come on, don't be afraid, jeez, let's go.
Okay. Okay, the last three is 7.
Wait, I didn't explain to you.
I'm sorry.
All right, this one here is a College of Business little mug. Glass, no handle. Mug has a handle. This is a glass. Tumbler, whatever.
736. The last 3 digits. 736.
All right. This one here is a perpetual calendar. You move it along any year, any month. It's pretty cool. It is pretty cool. There you go. Congratulations.
Next number, 760. 760, there she is.
All right, come on, come on. All right, again, another international Kuhnenagel 4-month calendar, and these are pretty good. They really are. All right, got the number? Just pick a new number.
Okay, the last 3 digits is 730. 730.
Okay, next one here is a little clip with a magnet on it for your refrigerator. It's from one of our carriers, who I can't mention it because it's a competition to Kuhnenagel. So anyway, it's a little clip button. So again, we need to pick the winner.
755.
Oh, you got that one already?
755, right there.
This is the first time I've ever won a raffle ticket.
Wow.
755?
She's right there,
Who?
right here.
Oh, come on.
The next number is 743.
All right, this is the last one.
743.
And what it is, it's a Home
Oh, I
Depot
need that, boy.
coffee mug.
743.
743.
Is that you?
I put these two also.
Oh, those really?
Yeah, I mean,
There you go, man. Thanks a lot.
Wow.
All right, now here's some real good ones. So if you guys leave, you lose, okay? This is an international dictionary, very, very extensive. So we need a number.
778.
778. 778. Anybody?
778.
No?
778. There we go.
Oh, there you go.
All right. Sorry. Are you 778? All right, pick another one.
710.
710.
710. One more.
Now this one here, I'm debating whether to put this one up because I can use this one. Anyway, this is the kiss, bow, or shake hands. This is the international way. This will tell you everything not to do when you travel. Ready?
715.
715.
715. There it is.
Ah, come on, Xavier. All right. All right, everybody. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming.
you.